All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Title. My name is Janal Reid. For those of you I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, I serve on the board of the Women of HVACR, and I am the committee chair for our membership. I am so excited to get the opportunity to host this season of Behind the Title podcast. I'm the owner of Serveway Heating and Air Conditioning in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and so I love everything HVAC and women in HVAC. And so this YouTube channel was really created just so we could stay up to date with what's happening in the industry and with each other as a community. I would like for you to take a minute and subscribe to this YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything, with all the episodes that are released. We're actually releasing this behind the title once a month. And so it's a great opportunity to take a pause and hear what the other women in our industry and in our membership are doing. And I also wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors. The Women in HVACR, as you all know, is a nonprofit organization. And so everything we do is made possible because of the generosity of our sponsors. Speaking of our sponsors, we had a regional event this past month, and for 2026, it was actually in Texas, which is in my backyard and also our guest backyard, Mitzi Coil. She is the vice president of marketing for the Hunton Group in Houston, Texas, and she oversees marketing operations for business divisions, including hunting distribution and hunting services. They were our sponsor for the regional event, and we got these really cool Awala water bottles. We were all obsessed, love the color. We also got to display our new logo. So if y'all hadn't seen the Women HVACR logo upgrade, this is it. But we're really honored that you all chose us to be sponsor recipients. And this water bottle, obviously, we all wanted it. So look for it if you come to other events. Also, if you didn't get to make it to our regional event, keep that in mind. Look on our website. Make sure you're paying attention to the newsletter because that's where we announce when those events are happening and they might be in your area next. So stay tuned. But I am really excited to have Mitzi today. Thank you for joining us, Mitzi. I'm really excited to dig into your story today. Are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so before we jump into your professional journey, I would like to talk about your life a little bit outside of work. I think as women, we all have such diverse lifestyles, and so we'd love to get to hear a little bit about you. So, will you mind sharing before you start about your professional life, a little bit about your family, things that you love, anything that we would need to know about you as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Um, I am a mother to two boys. I feel like that's important to start there. Mother
Yes.
first and foremost. And so my oldest just graduated from University of Texas. And so we're really excited about that. And he's been job hunting. And then my youngest is 17, both boys. So that has been my greatest joy and just accomplishment over anything I've done, right? And so I also am a cat mother. I have two cats. I love my kitty cats. And then outside of that, I really just enjoy, I have such a great group of a support system and women in my life and my relationships. And I love reading and going to the movies, working out. I do yoga. I've been loving Pilates. Haven't done it recently. I've been doing more strength training.
Me too.
Um, Really?
Yeah, I love
Pilates?
Pilates. Yeah.
Yes. I did the reformer. I was doing the reformer for a couple of years
Great.
and
Me too.
I love it. Yeah. So just trying to really be healthy in all the ways. And so that's kind of my focus in doing that. And then I love live shows and music. And I feel like that's like a pretty good summary of high level of who I am outside of work. Obviously, there's probably more, but
Yeah. I love that. What's your go-to band when it's like this band is in town? Who do you want to see for your live show?
um, gosh, that is a fantastic question. I like of such a variety of music that I will see. Immediately, what came to mind is there's a Houston band around here called, well, they come out of Houston called Blue October. And
Mm.
so when they would come around, I would always go and see them. And that's kind of been the thing. But outside of that, I mean, I've been to see, Sting lately. I think he was out here in Houston. And I don't know if I have necessarily a go-to. It's been more so, I've been listening to Ray lately.
Mm.
The artist Ray. And so I hope I'm saying her name right. And so I was looking up like when would she be here? And I missed her in Houston. So anyhow, but that's a great question. I don't think there's just like one person anymore. I think it's just seeing
Yeah.
something new.
Yeah, that's fun. What would someone be surprised to learn about you?
Surprised to learn about me. Oh wow. So I would think, let's see, what would they, is the cat thing surprising? There's
Yeah, a little bit.
the cat thing.
Especially
Let's
being
see.
from a big city like Houston, I don't know why I think most people, but I'm in Dallas and most people are dog people. So I just assume big cities, dogs go together. I don't know.
So, I'm from North Texas and I did live in El Paso for a while. And so that's part of my story that I usually don't share. I don't know why. It's just living in a different we lived there for 3 or 4 years when I was younger. And I think that shaped who I am today and, moving schools in third grade and things like that. But I think just overall, um, I've moved several different times and then just my ability to adapt. I don't know if that would surprise people, but I feel like I kind of omit that part out. And the only reason that's top of mind right now is that my son's looking to kick in college, like to be a kicker, and he's looking at El Paso. And I was like, wait a minute, I live there and I know a little bit about it. So
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. And then you just referenced, third grade, you were younger. When you were around that age, what do you remember thinking you would do when you grow up? Because I'm sure you didn't think I'm going to be a marketing guru, right? There had to be something. Do you
I
remember?
didn't. I was going to be a teacher. I had a board, like the whiteboard, and like I was just bossy, and everybody was my students. And I was like, "This is what we're doing, and do your homework." I think I really wanted to be a teacher. And then as I got a little older, I was like, "Well, I'll be a therapist. I'll be a psychologist or something." So I loved people, and so that's what little Mitzi wanted to be.
Yeah, I love how those things kind of go together. I think about all the different ideas I had growing up, and I'm like, actually, I have a little of all those things in the career I have now. So I think it kind of builds our identity. You being a teacher meant you were ready to like pour into others and lead in some capacity. So that's really cool. And so you have
Oh,
this extensive resume. So I would love to hear about how you built this career that spans across agency and corporate leadership roles. Could you walk us through your journey and how you arrived to your current role at Hunton?
yeah, I'd love to. Looking back, it's just, I feel so grateful. When I was in college, there was a woman a couple years older than I, and she had a corporate job, big girl job, and she ran promotions and she trusted me and gave me an opportunity. And so in college, I started running teams and I worked for Philip Morris at the time. And I ran promotions and I did promotions in grocery stores like Odwalla, like I would get out samples at grocery stores. And so I've always just been a kind of a high energy person and just like I said, love people and being out. And so I started getting into promotions and marketing, essentially, I guess I would say in college. And I was given that opportunity to run teams. And then I worked for a distributive chorus brewing company right out of school. And I did top 20 sales. And then I ran our chorus team. I ran our promotions team. So that was a fun experience and got to hire and, everything from booking our teams were going to be. And we were the people like that handed out the free drinks and the boat and the koozies and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So back then, 20 years ago, if
Right.
not more, we would go around the bars and just it was fun. So anyhow, I worked for distributor Coors. And then I did that for a few years, worked for Coors Brewing Company, helped them launch a new brand that they were trying to compete with. Gosh, I think it was like Corona. They were trying to compete in that space. And so they opened up in Dallas. I was in Dallas. I went to school in North Texas in Denton. And so I was in the
Okay.
Dallas area. Yeah. And I had the whole
UT.
territory.
Yeah.
Duet.
Was it UT? in
UNT.
UT? Uh-huh.
UNT, yeah. Went to UNT for college. And then, so yeah, I had the whole Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton area for my territory.
Mm.
And then I got married and had my son. And, at that time, I didn't do anything for a little while, but then I decided to start my own advertising agency. And that was an interesting transition because I really didn't know too much about it. And
Yeah, it's a
I
jump.
learned a lot on job experience. Like
Mm.
I came up with a name and then registered it and started creating my own account. And it was, I couldn't have been but mid 20s, I want to say, maybe 25, 26. And that was a lot of fun. And I started learning the lingo and how to buy advertising and radio. And I had one client and, or two. No, I think maybe two clients. And then really that's it. And I did that until I went to Hunton Group or Hunton Distribution at the time, actually. I joined Hunton Distribution in 2006 and I started as a marketing coordinator and they didn't have any marketing. They had a little bit on the corporate side, but not really on the residential side of the business. And so I joined that and I was there for 6 years. I did take a kind of part of my history, like, and maybe that's something people didn't know, but I did leave for 1 year. I was kind of lured away with the promise of it was closer to my home. My kids were little in daycare at that point. And so I made the decision to leave Hunton. Actually, I left for a year and then they brought me back and it was ended up being a true kind of blessing because I came on in the corporate role and yeah, just kind of joined it. Well, I don't even remember if my title was director. I just came in to run marketing in like 2014, I want to say. And then, yeah, and then I've just been building since then. And we've built the department and we're a team of 11 now. And it's been a lot of fun. So I hope I didn't go into too much detail there. Kind of just like an
Sounds good.
overview of my resume of high
Yeah.
level of like having experience to your point with advertising and buying advertising and then working directly with clients and then doing B2B. So just a variety of, sales, promotions, marketing. So I kind of had that empathy of being on the sales side as well, being in marketing. So I knew how those two works really close. They work really closely together. So
Hmm. That's really good. And I love seeing that full timeline because I know that's one thing that younger people struggle with. The person they see today, like, how did you get there? And you have a very grassroots beginnings because you're like, I'm handing out free giveaway things and it's grassroots promoting. And then you actually started your own firm, and that's really bold and also meant that you had to learn a lot of things really quickly and also how to advocate for yourself. So I'm sure that really grew your leadership abilities and then find a company that you loved thinking you needed to leave them, which is real. I think so many people have that, at some point it's like maybe I hit a ceiling and then for them to pursue you back meant, oh, they missed a good thing, which is cool. And
yeah,
you came back with an even better opportunity. So that's a really cool story.
thank you.
I think that really helps, put the pieces together, and show there has to be some grind. You have to be diverse in your abilities to be where you are today. You did a lot of that. So I would love to hear about, was there a particular opportunity that you feel really affected the trajectory of your career? Was there something, maybe there was a job or a client that you felt like, oh, this really, catapulted me with my experience and put you on the next level?
Yeah, I think, a couple experiences come to mind actually. And I feel very fortunate that I can think of a few right off the top of my head. But I think even being brave enough, I loved when I worked at Hunt Distribution. I loved it. And my mentor was my boss. And to your point, like I didn't really have a reason to leave. I mean, we were creating, I was challenged. I loved it. And then it was just happened to be a family friend that had an insurance company. It was a different industry. You know what I mean? I was kind of lured away. But it ended up being a really good thing because I think also for Hunton and for me to realize like what a good thing could be created and how much more runway we had with Hunton. And so for them to bring me back, I think and then I was able to be in a position to be like, hey, marketing needs to be ingrained in all of business and all of operations. And I need to be in the financial meetings. And, and it made us have a really good, serious conversation about what is marketing and what is the role of marketing here at Hunton. And really defining that, I think, really helped with that, what's next and what's next and what's next, and having that vision. And so that was really an exciting time to be doing that. And when I came back, excuse me, to Hunton, and we had a game plan, right? And we may not have known all the pieces, but we knew that marketing was our goal, was that marketing was going to be ingrained in every single one of our lines of businesses. It was just part of the communications, part of the sales, like everything. And so I'm really proud that that's, fast forward, that I really can confidently say that we've done that. So that's been a really big thing. And then the other one would be somewhere along the way, I think it's important to be curious and ask, and to be like, hey, what about this? And when I was working in distribution, my boss at the time, Robert Tyler, he and I, were like, hey, what if we tried a new program? How else can we support our dealers and our customers? Like, what else can we do? And I think having trusted partners and trusted advertising agencies and being able to have a space to play really created this confidence, and also the ability to really move the needle and instill confidence in others as well. So we did new campaigns. We tried out, new things. At the time, we were doing pay per click. And I say that slowly because it was very new, and I would present on it, and I tend to talk a little fast. And people would say, what's a paper clip?
Oh,
And, you know,
yeah.
and I remember I had a presentation, and I was so proud of this work I was doing, and I presented to a room of marketers, and I was so, I was like, look at my metrics, look what I'm doing. And then I sat down, and a woman passed me a piece of paper, and she said, what's a paper clip? And I was like, oh, so this is not like, this is
Interesting.
just, so
I didn't get it.
it was
Uh-oh.
it was a good lesson, right? Like knowing your
Yeah.
audience. Like I was really excited about something, but it was a new. We were launching out paid advertising at the time. Just gives you an idea how long ago that was. So
Yeah.
anyhow, I have examples and stories like that, but I think overall, just the first things that come to mind, are just is it was brave enough to want something different, and then to ask for it, and then when an opportunity came, to really be bold enough to be like, okay, we can make this work, and let's how are we going to do it? So
hmm Yeah. Wow, that's cool. So it sounds like you did have those opportunities to realize you're not just doing marketing, but you're actually leading people, you're influencing organizational growth. That was like a big piece. That was the transition in your career. Well, I love that. Okay, so we're talking about leadership and identity, and we also want to address our theme for this month, which is around burnout. It's around us, creating healthy boundaries for ourselves as leaders. So I want to ask you, how has your leadership style evolved throughout your career? What are some strengths that you've had and some challenges that you've had?
yeah, that's great. Oh man, I love that. So I think back to when I was running promotional teams in my 20s
Okay.
and what that looked like. And then I look at, growing the marketing department at Hunton, and you have like one, there's just you and one of, well, you're a team of one. First it's just me, right? And then you're a team of one, and what that looks like. And then you get permission to bring on another person. So it's you and another person, and you're like, okay. And it's, especially in marketing, there's a lot of gray. There can be a lot of gray. And so it's really defining what are our objectives, and how are we going to have some ROI around that. And also, it's really important to understand that there's humans that are in these roles and behind these titles, and we're out here doing the best we can, and we all have personal lives. And so I think if I look at the evolution of leading, I become I'm very big about work-life balance. I'm very big about communication. I don't like to be surprised, but it's just that experience of learning, right? So I think when I have a smaller team to where we are now, at one point I had everybody reporting to me, for example, and that just didn't work. I've had to restructure my department a couple times because I learned that through communication, and then I couldn't be everywhere and at all the different locations and what it may look like. So I think overall, I'm having to be, you have to be like flexible and pivot and being able to understand what very different people need. For example, I started looking at Enneagram, like the Enneagram. I don't know if have you ever heard about that, the Enneagram
Oh yeah,
test?
that's a good one. I'm an 8.
Oh, I love that. I'm a 7 with an 8
7.
wing.
Okay.
And so we just started like having my team take these tests. And of course, there's a bunch of other types of tests, and we
Yeah.
also did the Strengths Finders test. And then I had everybody read about Brene Brown and started talking
Okay.
about Brene Brown. I love her. I mean, she's
The
been a big,
empathy. Yeah.
yeah, she's the Dare to Lead,
Yeah.
right? It's her. So she's been a big influence in my leadership style, being
Okay.
vulnerable, being open, clear as kind. Like,
Clear as
so I
kind.
think overall, adopting, I mean, she was like a game changer for me hearing about her or hearing her stuff. Gosh, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe. I
Okay.
got to see her live in Boston in an event, and I just was blown away. And so I think I like to think I've incorporated a lot of her teachings or her advice into my leadership style, and then just adapting. And I know I like to say, we can do hard things. Like, it's all hard. We can do it. We can do hard things. And
Mhm.
I know that that's been something that all of my team and the people around me have heard as well. I hope
I
I
love.
answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I love how you can kind of flow and drop all these gold nuggets along the way. So I'm like, yes, this is really good. And I'm thinking about you saying, you're pushing your team, you're saying we could do hard things. That actually leads into the next question I was going to ask about, how do you balance being approachable still, but maintaining that high standard that you're saying, you're pushing your team to have?
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, exactly. So we've adopted more of a yes, but when, right? Because we, I think a lot of, if I look back on how I got here, I said, yes, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Right. And I loved that. But it got to a point where it wasn't just me saying yes, it's people on my team saying, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that, which can lead to burnout, or which does lead to burnout. Right. And so it
Right.
had to become, we had to start adopting this language and getting people around us to understand, yes, I can do that. But when? When would you like this done?
Uh,
How much of a priority? Getting more questions, like asking more questions about what the project is or what the assistance is needed. And then also having clear boundaries in place, because for a while, I'll admit, like, be like, hey, can you run out and go get us some pizza? Or can you call about this? I mean, I remember earlier in my career, someone handing me a bunch of papers and saying, hey, can you go make copies? And and so I'm like,
yeah.
oh, and I'm a yes person.
Right.
So
You're
I'm
like,
like,
me? Okay.
yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Let me let me do that real quick for you. And so,
Yeah.
and I love that we have this customer service attitude, and that we are, you have to be, and you have to be, people friendly and try to help out everybody, but you got to have some boundaries in place. And I think to do that is the yes, but when, and then clear as kind, to use a more Brene Brown. But,
I love those.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what I've been encouraging. And then I'll say another thing, which is I realized when I took on more of a management role at Hunton, that I wanted us to be healthy on the inside. And it's
Mm,
really important to be healthy on the inside to be healthy on the outside. So I
mm,
had created a Hunton Cares initiative. And I mean, it's peer to peer recognition, it's wellness programs, it's community service. And it just literally came. I sat in a room with one HR person, and we were just talking about like the benefits we got through our health insurance. And I just came up with an idea, and I just was like, let's really get healthy on the inside. And I went back, I
mm.
had one marketer at the time, and she and I sat down and we came up with a logo and called it Hunton Cares and came up with this whole program. And it's still in place today. And it's we have a Hunton store. We've just, there's so much that's come from this. But I say all that because a couple of reasons. One, it's we were innovative and curious. And
Mhm.
yes, we can do that. But then we also learned where we can live within that space, right? If that makes sense. So I hope the same thing. I hope I answered your question. I kind of got excited thinking about,
Yes. No, that's actually really good. I love what you're saying about a wellness plan because I feel the same way about my company. I want my team to have healthy practices, healthy habits. We talk about, how we practice is how we play. And I love the idea that you even inserted community service in there because I think that's one that kind of gets away. We don't think about that one, but yeah, it's a good one to make sure like our heart's in the right place and we're being generous and not using our time for ourselves. So no, everything you said, I'm like, yes, actually, I'm gonna watch this again so I can remember the list because I think that's a great idea and handing it out. So you're saying you created an actual, play by play and just make sure you're checking these things off the list to internally, do a heart check and a health check. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
And that's, and I take that and I pull that all the way through to our employees though, like for my own. So I kind of bring that up as well because when you talk about burnout and you talk about boundaries, I'm like, take a breath. What's going on? Right? Are you tired? Has been an attitude shift? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Like, what do we need to do? Is it take some PTO? I see that you haven't taken any. Is it I need you to take a walk? Get a walking. We got standing desk, right? Something as simple as a standing desk. And
I
I
love
have a
that.
few girls who have a
Like a little
treadmill, like a
treadmill.
little
Uh-huh.
walking pad, like a little walking pad. I'm not
Yeah,
brave enough.
cool.
I'm not brave enough, but they are awesome at it. And so, yeah, just being healthy and being mindful about that. I think that helps with when we talk about burnout and things as well.
It does, yeah, that holistic approach. And so, as we're celebrating all the successes, the things that are going really well, of course, we want to learn from some of the challenges that you've had also. So, do you have any professional mistakes or leadership moments that still to this day you're like cringing about, like, oh, I learned so much from that you would be willing to share?
Okay, so I'll share. I thought about this and it does make sense, but it also was a good moment, which is same thing early when I was working for Hunton Distribution, we were doing some advertising with some of our customers and we were doing direct mail.
Mhm.
And I was running the program, I'm sitting in my little cube, running the program and putting in the spreadsheet and the information about where the direct mail pieces are going to drop for our customers.
Mhm.
Well, I must have mistyped the zip code. So one of our customers, our dealers, their their direct mail piece, so their advertising piece didn't go in their service area at all. It was dropped not even in their service area. Just and I was so upset about it. You can imagine the money, the time, I mean, the reputation. They trusted us to do this program. And I remember I couldn't have been maybe my early 30s. And, like I said, trying to build this career. And I just sat there and I was so upset. I just felt so sick about it. And I went into my boss, Robert, who I mentioned before, and I said, I'm so sorry. I have to tell you something. And I told him what happened. And I'm almost in tears. And I said, you can even take it out of my paycheck. I'm so sorry. I made that mistake. Like I was, and he leaned back and he looked at me and he said, did you do it on purpose? And I said, oh, no, no, I didn't do it on purpose. He said,
Yeah.
okay, we're fine. It's okay. We'll do it again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you sure? And even reliving that moment right now, like that impact on me as an employee and as a human and just having
Mhm.
some grace, like for him to be like, did you do it on purpose?
Right,
And then being
right.
like, it's okay. And so it was, yeah, I had to redo. I mean, we had to spend the money and the time, do a whole new mock-up, the create, everything. And also we were up on a time frame because of the offer, right? So
Mhm.
timing was it was so there's many layers to that program. And so anyhow, that was definitely a challenge I experienced, but it was a good teaching moment because I took that lesson because it really was a lesson about grace. And I've actually said those words before when I've had somebody who works for me say, make a mistake. And I say, did you do it on purpose? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, let's find a way to fix it. And
Yeah.
and I just love that I learned that. I learned it a little bit of the hard way, but that's one of the first things I think of when I think about a professional challenge on, that shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
And I don't know if
Yeah.
that's really about leadership. That's just more about what happened in my career that helped shape it, though. So,
Yeah. And it says a lot, I think, about you that you did own it because, you hear those stories where the mistake happened and nobody owned it. And so it's like going down the rabbit hole. Well, whose fault was it? And there's finger pointing. And then, right. And then your leader doesn't have the opportunity to respond the way that he did. But I think the fact that you arrived with humility and you were like, it was on me and you owned it, says a lot about you as a person. And then I could see that being such a like a trickle down moment of learning how to lead and saying, because, we say this all the time. Also, we're not expecting perfection. Like accidents are going to happen, right? It's how we respond to what happens that means the world. So that's really cool that you got to learn that early and from
Yeah.
not from being led and not leading. So you could have that as a leadership quality yourself. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I'll also share that I think because that was so impactful that I expected in others. And I do know that my team knows that. Like if they were to talk to each other about like, hey, I'm working for Mitzi, like what should I know? And I think
Yes.
their advice to each other would be own it. Like if you make own it, like if something happens or something didn't happen or the wrong something, just go to her and own it. And I think because I do have that expectation, I do want to your point, it's like to have the humility and have the I don't know, is it confidence? But have I don't know what the right word is there. But it's like, having that ownership and that way you can solve it. Like let's just quickly solve it. Because if not, it can like spiral and get worse, right?
Yes.
So anyhow,
Yeah.
so I think to piggyback on that, I think it was such a good life lesson for me that I really do push it on to others of having that expectation as well.
Mhm. That's good. That's good culture. And so we are talking about sustainable leadership and boundaries, right? And so I'm thinking about the women who carry the weight of everything on their shoulders. And I've been that girl before. I'm sure you
Mhm.
have. What type of advice do you have for women who are doing that? Are there any, if you experienced that before, how are you able to combat that mentality?
Right. Yeah.
Because
So
you,
I
you
think
talked about owning it, but then there's a different level when it's like, oh, but now I'm going to carry everything, right?
oh, for sure. And I think that's when it relies on, I think a couple different answers come to mind, right? So a little bit of project management, and being honest with yourself. Can I handle this? Can I do it? Or by just saying yes.
Mm.
And then trusting your team, right? Knowing what you're able to take on. And so we utilize Planner, Microsoft Planner. I'm not sure if, do you ever use that? Do you know that one?
No.
So yeah, so we utilize Microsoft Planner. It's a free service with the suite, and it helps break down all your like projects and where you're at. And then I have one-on-one meetings with my team, and then I have monthly team meetings, and so working through what this looks like. And there's been times where it says, "Hey, I don't have the bandwidth," and I encourage others, and I had to learn myself how to raise my hand and say, "Okay, I once again, when is this due by? What is my priority here?" And once again, I do have team members who, the lucky ones to sit by me, that they can come
Yeah.
in and say, here are my projects. Where is my priority to you? Right. And because I may get a lot of ask from a lot of people. And
Mhm.
so I think, taking some breaths and understanding what can I handle realistically and checking in with yourself, having it, um, written down somehow, right? Whether some people have a notebook and they like putting in there and little checks. Hey, I'll tell you what, earlier this week, I got a venti Starbucks, okay, on the way to work. I always do grande. So I did a big one.
Yeah.
And
I can't do
I,
much caffeine.
well, I can't either.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. But I got a venti. And I tell you what, I made my list, and by like 11:52, I had like 12 things knocked off that list. And
Mm.
I was so excited.
Nice.
Um, so,
No, I'm with
but
you. I'm a checklist person. I love,
right,
oh, so satisfying. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, in seriousness, it's like I own that, but it's taking a breath, saying what can get done today, what can carry off, and then also relying on the people around you and trusting them, and not micromanaging that, and asking for help. And I know everyone's situation is different. I'm very fortunate. I understand that a lot of marketing departments aren't as, but we all have different divisions, right? I've got 4 or 5 on my residential side, but I have 2 on a commercial side, or you know what I'm saying. So we're all still divvied up amongst our businesses. Um, but I think just knowing the strengths and then knowing where we can still learn, and having those opportunities to learn. So if I feel like maybe there's an employee who has asked, like, "Hey, I would love to get better at public speaking. I would love to start getting more confident that way. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's start small. Do you want to present in this month's meeting about something? Okay, yeah, okay, let's do that. Okay, do you want to talk to some customers about, do you know what I mean? And like giving them those opportunities to reach their own goals as well. And then
Mhm.
that helps you too, because then you're not presenting it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're developing a team around you so that when it is time to delegate, you're confident. You're like, oh, I know they're ready to handle this because you've been training them in these different areas and letting them also hit their own goals. So that makes
Yeah,
so much
absolutely.
sense. Yeah.
You said that a lot better than I did. What you just said is that is
I'm
exactly
following
right.
you. I'm following
I
you.
just I just rambled my way through that, and you just clearly just like put it in a sentence for me. So thank you.
I think that's why I love doing this because when I'm actively listening, I see these pictures in my mind. So I love storytelling. You could tell me a million stories, and I'm like, so you said this, and then yes, like summarizing. It's fun. And so I enjoy this. This is like so fun for me. I do want to hear before we
Ditto.
uh, transition out into, a high note, because I always like to leave on a high note. But because we're talking about burnout, do you have an example of, looking back, a sign that was ignored by you that kind of led into burnout or an area where you're like, man, I set these boundaries up now permanently because this happened?
Yeah, I think it's I like to think no, we don't get burnt out, or no, I got it handled. To your point, the weight of all the things you're carrying, and as women, that's what we do, man. That's we carry it all. And so you like to think I have it, you have it handled. But I think that overall, the signs that maybe if I am upgrading to a venti latte, or if I am trying to
Right.
find some caffeine at 3 o'clock to get me through the rest of the day. So I'm ignoring the signs of being tired, right? And
Mhm.
why, whatever excuses you want to put in, but I ignore that, and then eventually it becomes where maybe my attitude shifted a little bit, or I'm losing focus. So overall, it's mentally you start to think, oh my gosh, this is a little overwhelming, or whatever it may be. And so those are the signs you start ignoring of the exhaustion. And it could be a
Yeah.
mental exhaustion, it could be a physical exhaustion. But when you start trying to um, supplement it, right? Like you're like, okay, I need more, I need more. I need to get past this. I have to be here today. I have to do this today.
Mhm.
And instead, a lot of times it's, slow down to speed up. Is that what the saying is? Like slow down, take a breath, and you'll get there. And I think those are the times to take the walk, to do the practice some yoga and some little Pilates, walk around, get on your little walking pad, right?
Yes. I
Like
love a
take your
walk.
time to figure it out, and then talk to the people around you. I mean, my team, I'm happy to say that like we have a great relationship where they're like, hey, I'm feeling a little burnout. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's figure this out. Right. So
Mhm.
I think overall it's, you have to be in tune with what you're able to do. And I think that comes through experience, right? I think it's like, okay, I've learned that I literally actually can't do all of that, but you tried it. And then now you get to where you are and you're saying, okay, my boundaries now, when you're asking about the boundaries of it, I say, okay, now I'm going to have office hours at this time, or I'm
Mhm.
going to, block off this amount of time where there's no meetings and it's just me time, or shut my door for a little while. I've given that coaching before. Like, it's okay to shut your door if you have a door and you can, or you put up a sticky note, or you're like some way to communicate. Because, being in the office, some way to communicate, like I need some time. And then even encouraging people to block off their own calendar. Like, it's okay to give yourself 1 to 4 at this time, or whatever that may look like. So that probably that probably came from crossing boundaries, or just being burnt out, to realize what are some tools that I can use that work for me. Whether it's the list, and some of the other examples I gave. So
Mhm.
that's probably
Yeah,
how it's
that's
been
good.
handled.
Yeah. And I can totally relate to that. I know that I'm burning out if I like fatigue. So I'm with you on that.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I just need more sleep than before. And it's like, actually, I'm mentally crashing. And so my body is like, could you just rest and sleep? So I could definitely relate to that. So I love what you're saying about just giving yourself margin and writing it into your calendar. I have a me day. It's usually still consumed with like laundry or something like that. So TBD if that counts as a me day, but
I think so.
yeah, but I don't take calls on that specific day, and I think that helps me kind of recharge.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's needed just to set that up. And even if you get some of your personal things done, like just,
yeah,
I got a doctor's appointment, I got to follow up. I need to, make sure whatever I've had to order groceries before, like in between meetings, right? To be like, oh, I got to get them sent to the house tonight. So,
we need dinner.
um, we need
Yeah.
dinner. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree overall. It's just how do you implement that time? And I think it comes from experience. I mean, if you would have talked to me at 23 or 26 or even 32, the answers would have been different, I think. I mean, just at
Right.
this point, so I have I just celebrated 19 years on Monday with Hunton, and then I've got all that experience beforehand. So I've been doing this, for what, like, let's call it 25 or so plus years.
Yeah.
And it's taken a lot of time to take some breaths and be like, it's going to be okay. Like,
Hmm.
it will get done. And if it's not going to get done, it actually will the next day, maybe. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes time. So for us to be patient with ourselves, I think helps. That's really good. So I want to know, when you look back on your leadership, Mitzi, what do you hope people remember most about you whenever, you're finished and you're retired and you are, what do they say, sipping Mai Tais in Costa Rica or whatever it is that you want to do?
Yeah.
What do
Flipping
you hope people
mountains.
remember most about you?
I'm already daydreaming. You'll find me in the mountains when that happens. I'm a
Oh, in
mountain
the
girl.
mountains. Yes,
In the
yes.
mountains. I really hope, I feel like I have encouraged the people around me and I've been very encouraging. And so I hope I'm remembered as someone who is, led with kindness and grace, and that maybe I taught some things along the way, right? Whether it be about my knowledge of marketing or advertising or communications, or my knowledge of HVAC, or just how to treat each other. And really, at the end of the day, that's how I want to be remembered, is um, that I brought joy to others, and that I was a kind human and I made other lives better. I hope that doesn't sound generic, because that's genuine. Like,
Yeah,
I really hope that's how I'm remembered.
I
That
love that.
Yeah, that I just made other people happy.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that. And I definitely do see that in everything that you shared today. Thank you for spending this time with me and with us so that we could learn from your story. I do believe that because of the way that you shared so much about marketing, but also about your holistic approach to leadership. And so I do believe that that's how will be remembered, not just caring about the craft, but also about the person. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, believe me, ROI matters, and
Yes.
the value of all the things that we get up every day and do. I mean, this is our job, right? And not just our job, this is our livelihood. But at the end of the day, it's people, it's connecting. And I appreciate this opportunity just to spend some time talking about my journey, but just spending some time, and hopefully same thing, like leaving an impression that with some kindness and motivation, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, you definitely did. You pushed us all forward. So thank you for coming on today and sharing. We're really grateful for your time. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, whoever logged on today to see this episode of Behind the Title. And we'll see you guys in the next one.